Thank you, Chairman Koka, Senator Menendez, and other members of the committee for holding this important hearing. I am the founder of Challenging Heights, an organization that for 10 years has served children who have been trafficked into modern slavery in Ghana. We deliver social justice interventions to children, women, and underserved communities in coastal and farming communities. Our work includes rescue, rehabilitation, and reintegration of children who have been trafficked in the fishing industry. And we also raise awareness of trafficking in communities to prevent trafficking and re-trafficking of children. In fishing communities along the Volta Lake, Ghanaian children are being sold into life of forced labor, malnutrition, abuse, and no schooling. Traffickers prey on poor families in communities along the country's coast. Typically, families are told by their traffickers that if they let their children come to the lake, they would live with relatives who would care for them and send them to school in exchange for a few hours of work after school. In reality, the children are forced to work long hours on the boat and dangerous conditions. A typical day might begin at 3 a.m. and end at 8 p.m. and include challenging tasks such as casting nets, diving, hauling, with only one meal served. Children often get stuck in the nets at the bottom of the lake as a result of unsafe diving. If a child is caught escaping, the consequences can be brutal. Often, the families do not hear from their children again. I formed Challenging Heights because I was a victim of this slavery situation myself. I was forced to work in the fishing boats on Lake Volta as a young boy. I understood the challenge of surviving such a trauma, and I also saw the tremendous potential to change things in my country, to prevent child labor, to rescue children from slavery, and to give those survivors a chance for a good life. Our organization supports hundreds of children and their families each year. We help prevent trafficking by helping vulnerable children to go to school, by creating awareness, building communities' capacity to stand up against trafficking. We also have a survivors rehabilitation center and a child trafficking survivor support network aimed at providing protection for children. I am very proud of my organization's accomplishment, but I know that there is so much more we need to do to stop trafficking in Ghana and throughout Africa. The United States government plays an important role in this direction. The U.S. State Department Trafficking in Persons report issued each year is a useful tool for Ghana and other governments, helping to keep them accountable for continued to do better work to stop trafficking. Each year, I contribute to the report so it reflects the most up-to-date reality facing trafficking survivors in Ghana. And just a couple of days ago, I was sent the information to start making my input. I host U.S. government officials showing them firsthand the dire situation facing children at risk of exploitation. The United States diplomatic pressure is very important in helping to persuade the government of Ghana to act. It is critical that these efforts continue and are properly funded. In particular, we would like to see a renewal of commitment to the National Plan of Action, which the government itself has created, and money allocated to the Human Trafficking Board released for immediate use. The Department of Labor's Bureau of International Labor Affairs also plays an important role in combating trafficking in Ghana and other countries. First, it conducts research on international labor, forced labor, and human trafficking, and publishes very valuable reports that help hold countries accountable. The Bureau funds projects for organizations engaged in effort to eliminate exploitative child labor around the world. And lastly, it assists in the development and implementation of U.S. government policy on international labor, forced labor, and human trafficking issues. This important bureau must retain its resources and expertise to address the most intractable forms of child labor and exploitation. I urge Congress to consider legislation that would secure permanent resources for ILAP and insulate it from political shifts. I also believe that the U.S. government can improve implementation of its development programs, whether it is building a school, constructing a highway, or distributing food aid. The U.S. government must integrate strategies for preventing, identifying, and responding to trafficking. It is especially important that the development programs fund projects that focus on prevention of slavery. And I will specifically cite the example of the Millennium Challenge account, where we believe that can be tied to some of these issues of slavery. Ideally, the government should target resources towards grassroots organizations, as Ghanaians themselves and those in other countries struggling to end human trafficking are the only ones who can do the difficult work of changing attitudes in their own countries. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.